chill out. But I just want to please assure people, this isn't forever.
Here we go. I ain't changed the past, but I probably live it a couple years. I ain't going fast, but I camera catches your whole career. I ain't on your panel, go crash out over a couple peers. You can check the score, man, that battle card looking insincere. I just lost my innocence, maybe that mean I'm seeing straight. Shake my hand, homie, from toppling over barricades to hanging in my office with camera flashes and saving face. You know in his head he been trying to find how to storm the gates. Jesus, it's looking egregious. I've been looking for reasons, every season a sequel. All these people who tell me they got the answers keep dancing on who to cancel, and every fucking opinions that Bubba's favorite new anthem. Come on, we wasn't woke, then we probably win in a landslide. Yeah, guys, mention the changes like 40 more times. Same old shit like Hassan beefing with Klein. All these hot takes from people who overrate and inflate like every moment, and now they hoaxing and voting like switching sides was entropy enough. I'm watching them floated like, hold up, wait a minute. Gladiator culture, well fuck, I guess we can get it. So turn your back on the deal. Principle wasn't real, parade of horribles, hairlines pulling back more than fields. Two people to help efficiency spinning over the wheels. Get the guy who got the platform losing all its appeal. Just imposters. Puppet dance get an Oscar. Blue Joe Rogans, everybody got a roster. Netflix got a buffer before they fumble who can box worse. Nick was all talk till that location getting docs hurt. Upgrades, double the update. The oldest men alive say they wanna fight. Hey, well you're up, Jake. Moon Girl episode, double down on a leaked tape. It's 2004, 2026, I can't wait. Buy a stupid site, bitch, put it back on the map. Double way too attached to these politicians holding you back. I be jumping through windows while all these bitches tapping the glass. I'm screaming the haka at you while ripping your shit in half like, ugh. Too soon? I ain't hear no fucking bell. Let's go. Let's go. I'm doing important news, and I've been told to hand somebody a Baja fucking blast.
Give it to me.
I'm trying to save America, Jesus. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle News. If you like what you heard, please smash that like button so hard that you delve into the backstory of why that like button became a like button, and you find out that it had to work an incredibly horrifying job, odd hours every single day, coming home and trying to support its like button daughter, and it was trying to save up money to help the like button daughter become some sort of dancer or something like that, and the Yakuza got involved. I don't even want to spoil it. It's just really sad. And then leave a comment on your favorite bar. Dandadan is such a good show. It's so good. It's all right. I know we have a lot of new political junkies here, but do yourself a favor, turn on Netflix and then watch it, okay? You're welcome. Like, I don't know what I expected when we started that whole thing. Like, it was kind of like, okay, where are we going with this? But it has so many elements where it like pushes boundaries and then also kind of illuminates really tragic, beautiful stories, and also has this great, very cute, romantic comedy story in the middle. And also, it's not like Yu Yu Hakusho and other. It's great. Go watch it. Very quickly, I do want to give a shout out to everybody who's seen the How to Block Project 2025 video. We have a lot of new people here. I'm really, really appreciative that it helped you guys out. And if you're a bot or a MAGA head here, why are you here? Once again, why? You have other things to do. There's grass out there you could be touching right now. But anyway, we have a lot to get into today, so let's just get into this breakdown. And let's start with obviously the top story everybody's been talking about this week: Donald Trump's cabinet, or the new parade of horribles. And before I get into the story, I do have to address the elephant in the room from last week. One of the most common criticisms I got from that video, aside from conservatives who were coming onto the video and saying I was fear-mongering, I was doing the opposite. Honestly, just grab a mirror and re-examine your life choices if you're coming into a fucking YouTube comment section trying to type me an essay in caps lock. But one of the biggest criticisms I got was the rule of law. You're just assuming that we'll have laws, Zed, in a month.
You're naive.
I even had people seething mad at me because I wasn't screaming about how we're all gonna be in a gulag tomorrow. I would bring up why, and the argument again was it doesn't matter. Laws don't matter. We are in a police state. Okay, number one, you've always been in a police state, all right? We're America. We jail like a bazillion people. There's a reason the song Fuck the Police is popular here and not just like, oh, what is that about? It wasn't just like a fun little ditty Ice Cube thought would be great. Number two, it's not about the law or the rules. It's about the structure of the thing. and how it is. Laws are like your car must drive on the right side of the road and stop at a stop sign. Structure is like your car is not a Gundam and can't go into space, okay? One is what you're legally allowed to do with it to help society function, and another is what you're able to force it to do. No matter what, your Honda Civic is not going to be able to become the Titanic and float. I mean, maybe because it sinks at the end, but you know what I'm saying. Similarly, I don't know how great that metaphor is, but similarly, Trump unilaterally cannot do anything without another department or entity assisting him. That's fundamentally how the presidency works. It needs cooperation from other agencies and bodies to accomplish any tasks. People in other departments have to comply and cooperate with orders in order for those orders to be ordered. There's so many uses of the word order. And all of those departments have procedures and people in place who are there to solely say no, or slow down or modify orders from appointees who suck and do things like erode civil liberties or try to go around the Constitution, okay? Now, obviously, I'm sure you've heard stuff like Trump is planning an executive order to establish a board to remove woke generals, like Hitler kind of did in the 1930s. Then again, there are still like 5 or 6 different checks after a general gives an order before it gets implemented. And we're not even talking about the Senate or the House, and we'll go over that in a second. But even after the generals he removes, there are multiple departments which he can't fundamentally just gut, right? There are certain top officials that could take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to remove, and certain departments that would take a decade or so more to establish full influence over. One of them is JAG. JAG can empower lower officers to reject unlawful orders from up on high. Also, those lower officers are taught to reject unlawful orders like attacking citizens or unlawfully jailing them. But that's not even counting the ACLU or legal charges, which the judiciary could gridlock up very, very quickly. This is not a follow the House rules problem. It's the department has no reason to follow your orders and just won't. And yes, that's even with Schedule F and even with the executive orders. Okay? Again, I'm not a constitutional scholar, and from what I've seen, I feel pretty confident in this information. But even if I did misstep, again, there are still multiple checks in between all of that happening, right? It's very hyperbolic and incredibly unlikely we just become Nazi Germany in the 30s. There are material differences between us and them that prevent us from falling into that. Specifically, our Constitution is much stronger than theirs was. Our power is decentralized, like I said before. And not to mention, there are so many things in the... Let's just get into the picks, because there's a lot of stuff that's come out this week that kind of suggests there are more roadblocks in the way that Trump is starting to find out. Okay, so obviously, as you know, Donald Trump has been picking his worst people DLC characters to put into government positions, and there's been quite a bit of reporting over the last few days of some of the most egregious picks. So we got Matt Gaetz right out of the gate, no pun intended. Boo, what the fuck? Obviously, Matt Gaetz is a clown show for so many reasons. He's hated by a lot of different Republicans, but loved by Jim Jordan, but hated by so many fucking people. Tulsi Gabbard is the director of national intelligence. Oh, great. Russian Cruella de Vil with the credibility of Russell Brand's party change. You got Peter Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, heavy Fox News culture war guy with some hugely controversial statements about women and tattoos that could be anti-Semitic. They're just very sus. Also, he sold grenade soap at one point, which is a lot. John Ratcliffe, who was in the first Trump administration and known for politicizing the office he was in. He's going to be director of the CIA now. Kristi Noem is the head of the Department of Homeland Security. Obviously, they'll be prosecuting mostly dogs, I'm sure. Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, very neocon. And RFK Jr., You fucking know. You know. He's got Hallie Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, Mike Walls in ambassador roles, very pro-Israel roles. Lee Zeldin is the head of the EPA. He's not a big fan of believing in climate change. Tom Homan, former director of ICE, is the border czar. Fun fact, a lot of tankies reported it as Obama-era ICE director tapped for Trump administration to emphasize the nature of the duopoly. Because that's exactly what we need right now, is how Barack Obama and Donald Trump are the same person. There's no difference. And then you have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm not saying the acronym. Fuck you. Okay, so all of these are horrible, right? I hear he's selecting Lex Luthor as ambassador to Krypton soon. And yet, honestly, they're actually not as bad as I thought they would be. The biggest red flag I was kind of watching for while these picks were being announced was if Trump was going to install Idealogues or Opportunists. And it seems like there are more of the latter. Now, Stephen Miller is a vampire who nobody would fuck, so he just lashes out with nativism these days. That's my bar for dangerous, okay? Because if you had a bunch of Stephen Millers or Viveks all across the cabinet, I would be worried for America's stability and hairlines at the same time. But instead of like 8 Stephen Millers, we got 1 Stephen Miller and like 7 Donald Rumsfelds, if you get what I'm saying. And 1 Vegeta's widow's peak, and I'll take those odds. Now, all these people are loyalists or corporatists with very smug views of Trumpism, and a lot of them actually don't have a ton of experience in these specific kinds of roles, which is still bad. But it's not only bad for their capacity in these roles, but also for their job security in these roles. Because notably, Gaetz is getting significant pushback for his nomination amidst an ethics probe where it's being reported that a woman testified that Gaetz had relations with a 17-year-old. You know, the human trafficking probe. Multiple conservative commentators have come out and said pretty intense statements about him. Also, RFK is getting widely condemned for his past views, even some Republicans feeling very skeptical. But what did I say? And I know Trump has experience dealing with pushback, and now he's not going to make the same mistake. I went and looked back and found some parallels for you in case you think it's all going to be smooth sailing. And again, we're going to go back to Bush because it feels like everyone just started to realize all of this now. So let's go back in time real quick. Come with me back in time and let's talk about Alberto Gonzales. Alberto Gonzales was Bush's attorney general who spearheaded warrantless wiretaps under the Patriot Act and pushed for enhanced interrogation techniques. You're like, wow, what the fuck does that mean? It means torture. It means torture. In order to protect national security in the fervor of the whole 9/11 sphere of mentioning 9/11 whenever you want to score political points. But back to Alberto Gonzales. This guy got fucked publicly. And guess what? Alberto doubled down. He didn't back off of the use of torture. He was like, you know, this is necessary. But there were so many worries about Alberto Gonzales. There was a worry that he was a yes man to George Bush due to their long-standing relationship, especially with all the illegal shit he was having happen without approval. He also fired several U.S. attorneys who had refused back-channel prosecuting of political enemies of the Bush White House, and then he resigned in 2007, after his party got the shit kicked out of them in 2006, in large part due to his stupidity. Matt's got some big resignation letters to fill. And then you have Donald Rumsfeld, who was fucking Donald Rumsfeld, all right? Iraq War, Abu Ghraib, more torture shit, WMDs, unknown unknowns, Donald Rumsfeld. Worse than any of these fuckers. He's a Bond villain. Also probably a lizard. And the only reason I'm more relieved that we have light versions of him is we have the playbook that brought him down. Like, there was a general's revolt. There was mounting public pressure from every spectrum about how bad Rumsfeld was ill-prepared, and it cut against his own narrative. His dismissiveness was emblematic of everything people hated about George W. Bush and the Iraq War. And after Republicans got destroyed in the midterms, and after Bush was like, I'm sticking by Rumsfeld throughout the entirety of my presidency, well, Rumsfeld resigned, which was crazy to think about. But again, Rumsfeld is at the end there. Porter Goss was said to have clamped down on dissenting views and politicized the CIA. He was pushed out by John Negroponte as the CIA pushed back against the Bush administration. Remember what I said about checks? There was also Karl Rove. Oh, this motherfucker. Karl Rove. Karl Rove was Bush's senior advisor and politicized multiple federal agencies. You know the thing we're all fucking terrified is gonna happen, but already happened in a world with less oversight and less smartphones? Rove resigned in 2007 and everybody was fucking mad at him. Stephen Colbert on the Colbert Report even had a version of Karl Rove called Ham Rove, which Newt Gingrich joined him in making fun of. Because at that time, Gingrich was like, I see the writing on the wall. I gotta hedge my bets. Again, all of these people in power faced massive backlash for their actions and setbacks with a trifecta in power. And speaking of that trifecta, let's go back to what I said before. Are you really sure it's as solid as you think it is? You need to understand that in Trump's first term, that trifecta legislatively pushed forward policies mainly that McConnell and Trump were aligned on. Things that were good for the Republican brand. Now, there was a new majority leader elected, and Rick Scott desperately wanted to be that loyalist sycophant that Trump needed. John Thune won. John Thune is McConnell 2.0. All right, he has a lot of opposite opinions from Trump. For one, he's staunchly pro-Ukraine. He doesn't agree with Trump on trade like NAFTA. He was fucking mad at the 2020 election denialism from Donald Trump. Now, he has patched things up with Trump and reconciled quite a bit, but he is, much to the dismay of MAGA world, an adult in the room, or the babysitter in the room, all right? Okay, like he may be playing music on his headphones, but he's still gonna stop the baby from jumping into the fireplace. Also, you remember that House margin? So look, officially the Republicans are going to control the House, but it's slim. There are potentially 6 to 12 House members that would vote against a national abortion ban that are Republican. Do you know that? Mike Lawler, Nancy Mix, Dave Valdeo. Some of these are obviously political plays and backpedaling after some pretty egregious statements they've made in the past. But some of them are also, I do not support a federal abortion ban in a competitive district which they want to keep. Also, hi, there are midterms in 2026. Now, that's not saying it's a sure thing it won't pass. That's also not saying it's a sure thing that a national abortion ban will even be brought up into Congress. I am saying that there are checks here. Believing that just because you have the majority in both chambers and the Supreme Court has not worked for literally every president since Clinton. Probably the most successful trifecta was George Bush, and even then there were material problems he had with things like Medicare Part D. Republicans want popular policies that they can run on. They want to make the brand look good. If the brand looks bad, they lose their jobs and their donors. Donald Trump's damage was to Republican culture and power structures, which bled into state legislatures and some of the judiciary. And like I said, Gorsuch and Roberts, two conservatives people are banking on for that trifecta, don't like obstructing civil liberties because of textualist concerns. There are things Trump can get past a conservative Supreme Court easy. Becoming Hitler to the military isn't one of them. Yes, even with a national security crisis. And lastly, again, I'm going to bring up a lot of the people Trump is nominating don't have a lot of experience. And these jobs historically have seen loyalists who somehow pass that test and try to gut the departments they take charge under crash out spectacularly because of that lack of experience. This is like somebody who knows how to dog paddle at their home pool being thrown into the fucking Olympics. Maybe they're supremely talented and can do a lot of shit to grease the wheels, but at a certain point, they have to swim, and swimming is fucking hard. And people are already angry at Trump, all right? He was disliked before he got into office or was president-elect, and backpedaling into this scares a lot of people, including Republicans in office. Like, it's not a good thing that the two biggest headlines this week were, what the fuck is going on with Matt Gaetz, and is RFK gonna poison all of us? It's gonna be a long 4 years, all right? But it's gonna be one that you can fight. Again, I'm not a constitutional scholar. I've done the best I can to research this. You can fight this. That's at least what I'm gonna do. Let me know what you think in the comments. And very quickly, moving on, I just want to really quickly address the election conspiracy theories, because those exist now. But for Democrats, many people, the few who used to follow me too, have mentioned things about how Starlink was connected to voting machines and how suspicious it is that Polymarket had Trump up so much when the polls didn't show that, and how Elon Musk somehow, hey, look at me. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? The election wasn't rigged. What the fuck are you doing? Voting machines were not connected to Starlink or to public internet. Polls showed a consistent race that was dead even and were incredibly accurate, save for our Lord and Savior Queen Ann Seltzer, R.I.P. She's not dead, just that poll, oh God. Polls are usually off around 3.5 points. Atlas Intel nailed the fucking score. There were multiple crypto owners who were juicing the Trump price. There's whole articles about it. All of these are easily explainable and none of them purport fraud. People just sucked sometimes and didn't vote for important things that they should have thought about. Listen, most of these claims have the same echo and veracity as the claims in 2020. Trump did not steal it. All right, he won this one, like Bush did. And then there were conspiracies after that one too. Stop telling people not to certify results. That's fucking wild. And I know it's kind of uneasy to hear these mixed messages, but look, Democrats weren't lying that Trump is fascistic or authoritarian. But the reason they aren't blocking him is A, the structures have plenty of blocks, like I said. B, they have a 4-year firewall in those next 2 weeks to stop him. That's what they're doing. And C, they aren't insurrectionists. Do you understand how bad it would be if we have these checks and all of a sudden Democrats deny or not certify the results? Do you know how quickly things could get insane and really fucking bad? The election was fair. Trump won. He will take power and look like a clown again, probably with low inauguration attendance. I don't know. Stop spreading conspiracy theories, all right? That's the easy way out. Do the hard work. All right, I have an extra for you. I just finished recording the rap. Let's talk about the Mike Tyson fight. Dude, Mike Tyson finally fought Jake Paul after numerous delays, after a lot of controversy with everybody saying, hey, it's a 58-year-old man versus a 27-year-old, after Jake acted like a horse's ass the entire fucking time. And it was a fight that had a co-main event that was actually a really, really important boxing match, one between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. I'll get to that right after this. But very quickly, there was so much anticipation for this fight. It said that 60 million people tuned into Netflix to watch this. And when I say tune in, I meant looked at a fucking loading screen. It just kept buffering and everybody at IT was losing their minds. But when it finally got to the main event and Jake Paul came out in the slowest car to ever move on a stage ever, and Mike Tyson just came out by his lonesome looking like he was going to eat somebody alive, when they finally got into the ring, it went how it probably would have gone. Mike started out looking pretty strong, throwing some pretty fierce punches at Jake and closing in the distance. And Jake had that southpaw style, kind of just trying to keep him out. But after like 2 rounds or so, it looked very much so like Mike's legs got very shaky. And for the rest of the fight, it was pretty clear that Mike Tyson was incredibly winded. And age really started to show itself there. And it was just a slog to watch through after that. People will say it's boring. I will say it was just cringe. For multiple reasons. Number one, obviously the age differential. We knew that going into the fight, but I think the difference here is that even though Jake Paul has fought people who are older and out of shape and past their prime and everything like that, this was probably the biggest age differential that we've seen. And the toll it took on Mike did not look good for Jake. Like, I'm not kidding when I say I think the stunt party for Jake Paul is a little bit over, or it's lost a dramatic amount of steam after this. Because how widely publicized of an event it was, because of how bad the crash out was, because of how exhausted Mike looked, it just looked like taking advantage of somebody who was a legend and then like waving your tongue in his face, like acting like a jackass. Like, all of the disrespect caught up very quickly. And it just magnified how much of, I'm sorry to say it, how much of a clown show this is. It was a clown show. At the end, Jake tried to give like a little bit of respect, bowing to him, you know, trying to touch gloves, like touching their foreheads together. I'm sure it may have been a lucrative thing for both of them, but at the same time, it just feels like incredibly disrespectful to Mike's legacy. It feels incredibly disrespectful to the sport of boxing, and it highlights the worst aspects of what celebrity boxing just is. And there are ways to make these kind of events really, really exciting and engaging, and to really celebrate the sport of boxing while using influencers and stuff. But man, this was not it. That being said, there was also another fight on this card, a couple other fights, but the big one everybody was looking at was Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. This was a rematch of an instant classic, one of the greatest women's boxing matches of all time. A lot was on the line. Both of these people would have made history in some way, shape, or form if they would have won. But man, this fight was crazy. It was so good. A lot of tension and just amazing boxing, right? Like, this is boxing. Flurries of punches being thrown left and right, both of them analyzing and adapting constantly. One contention during the fight is Taylor ended up headbutting, some say by accident, Amanda Serrano and cutting open her, like, right above her eye. This was really bad. It almost stopped the fight, and it really impaired Serrano's vision throughout the whole thing. But that doesn't matter, because she threw more punches than Taylor. She landed more punches than Taylor. She had a better percentage of landing punches than Taylor. Serrano dominated, and Taylor didn't do badly, but Serrano did amazingly well. It got to the point where there were multiple times where Taylor accidentally headbutted Serrano, or did it intentionally? People are still debating that. And the ref had to take away a point after warning her so many times. But at the end of the fight, this is where the problem happened. All three judges ruled for Taylor. Despite the scorecard showing all of the numbers in Serrano's favor, despite the fight looking like a dominant performance by Serrano, despite the headbutts and the point deduction, despite Serrano being more accurate with a cut above her eye. And look, everybody can hide behind the fact that boxing is subjective, but come the fuck on. This is the umpteenth year of boxing where a high-profile match has had a decision that feels like it's disconnected from reality. There are so many allegations of widespread corruption amongst boxing judges, or if it's not corruption, it's just inadequacy. Like, you have to be insane to have seen that fight and seen the score, like the percentages in the scorecard, and stand by that score. I don't know if it could be appealed, but it absolutely should be. And I will say, if you really dislike the Jake Paul match, but you really like the Serrano match, the score in the Serrano match should tell you why the fuck you're getting Jake Paul. People got fed up with fights always going to decision and the decision always being controversial, or a lot of the time being controversial, not knowing whether the judges are going to do the right thing. And when you have no confidence that your performance made any difference in a fight, why would you pursue it or double down on it? I love boxing and I hope that somebody fixes this, but man, there have been so many bad judges' decisions. I want there to be Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor 3, and I want a good judge there, because getting robbed twice, like the first time I could understand, but the second time, that was a robbery in the highest order. And that's not taking anything away from Katie Taylor. She's an amazing boxer, but she didn't win that fight. But anyway, that was my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is The Onion buying InfoWars. Oh my goodness. The Onion, the satirical news site, the GOAT satirical news site. Nobody has done it better. Fucking Babylon Bee, get the fuck out of here. The Onion's been on a little bit of a streak lately. They've recently restarted a lot of their video content, which, by the way, their video content for the election, goated. It's so good. Go watch a few of them right now. But in the midst of all of that, The Onion just kind of cemented their legacy and why they can't be caught up with. The Onion just bought InfoWars, right? After their bid on the auction of it was approved. That shit is crazy. Notably, they were backed by the families of Sandy Hook, and The Onion plans to gut the fucking site and replace it with comedy writers and relaunch it as a comedy satirical site. Also with information about gun control and gun violence. This is a giant fuck you to Alex Jones. All the haterade in the world to this guy. You know why I'm a fucking optimist, right? You think The Onion is like, well, you know, we might as well pack it up. Fuck no. Onion about to buy InfoWars and shit on people all day. Now, I do have to mention, the judge has a little bit of a concern for how the auction was conducted in order to hearing next week, after some complaints from Jones' lawyers and people affiliated put in a $3.5 million bid. But here's the thing. The Onion didn't have the highest bid according to the trustee who oversaw the auction, but the Sandy Hook families agreed to forego a portion of the sale to pay off Jones's other creditors and that $1.5 billion he owes all of them. Holy fuck. There were only two bids. The other one was from First United American Company, someone affiliated with one of Jones's product selling websites. And although Jones has projected optimism that he will take it back, I don't think so. I don't know. He's livid, calling this not an auction, an attack on free speech. It's capitalism, baby. You wanted it, you got it. But look, we'll have to see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments, and fuck you, Alex. But anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna have Griff watch a good news next week. By the way, go watch that How to Block Project 2025 video in case you're feeling afraid. Do not despair. We got this. And anyway, my name is Tabani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.